there, indie comic fans out there? It's Troy to the Max Extreme.
Hi, Troy.
Hi, Dave.
And I'm Ghost Hunter Dave.
And together we are IMPERIUS REX.
So as our summer of Invincible draws to a close, we're going to dive into something a little different today. Some indie titles from a friend of the show, Chuck Forsman, as we take a look at his claim to fame, you say, end of the effing world. I just don't want to go all in.
We'll get there.
I don't want to turn, I don't want to turn anyone off this early. So we're going to take a look at that and maybe even dive into that Netflix adaptation of it if we have time. And maybe some other things as well.
That's
so strap yourself in for something completely different here on the show.
Up to 2013, before it was reprinted, Chuck Forsman, otherwise known as the left-handed Frank Miller,
that's what they call him,
was working on a title called The End of the Effing World, where his main characters, James and Alyssa, go on a little bit of a dour runaway from home and get into some kind of heavy shit.
Yes. A lot of teenage angst. Bit of murder.
Bit of intrigue.
Yep. A lot of sex.
Yes. An adequate amount of sex, I think.
Suppose, yeah. Yeah, it's a lot for me. Got 2 kids at home. So yeah, this is a black and white series. And the artwork is a little, I don't know how you'd say it, surprising considering the subject matter. Yeah,
it's very juxtaposed against the subject matter.
Yeah.
It's like if Charlie Brown type characters met with like some really weird HBO shit.
Yeah. So James is a outcast, sociopath, potential serial killer. He's kind of on the lookout for that big score. He just wants to seal the deal and make it happen. He's worked his way up to humans by killing all sorts of woodland creatures. That's very off-putting right off the bat. And he's also narrating most of this too. So you're kind of getting inside his head. And it's not a nice place to be.
No, it's not. His cold and vacant thoughts are very kind of like chilling.
Yeah.
Once he says something like right straightforward, like I'm sizing you up to kill you.
Yeah.
That's what he's thinking in his head.
Doesn't sugarcoat it.
No.
Very Patrick Bateman.
very much so.
Yeah. And he meets a young girl named Alyssa, and she is kind of just on the lookout for something else. She wants to get away from her home. And the two, despite starting off a little rough, just swearing at each other, but there is like a little mutual interest, I would say. They end up running off together, and the rest of the book is them on the lam, way in over their heads, basically.
yeah.
It's like a Bonnie and Clyde type of thing, except these kids have no idea like what's in store for them and how the world works, and basically what they've got themselves into. Oh yeah, for sure. As it progresses, even though James may not seem like a sympathetic character, as we've been describing him right now, you kind of get to learn more about his childhood, and you find out how he lost a parent. And how that impacted his life. And you get to see the relationship of Alyssa and her parent later on, too, which also kind of shows like how she would get to the point where this is how she interacts with people. Right. And how they're almost kind of made for each other. Exactly. Yeah. There's moments where they do drift apart for a small period of time, but end up like realizing they're better together, essentially. Yeah. And as they're out on the run, they cross paths with a fellow serial killer, I guess you would say. A seasoned. Yes. Serial killer. Old school serial killer. Cops. Yeah. Okay, yeah. A vengeful accomplice. And then other family members of the two. And it all just leads to the inevitable end, which we won't spoil here.
Right.
But the adaptation is faithful to it, which is good. Netflix, I was a little worried they were going to stretch these things out as they do. But if you are looking forward to the show or you like the book and you want to see that, know that it's in good hands.
Yeah.
They flesh it out quite a bit more, but it is essentially the same story.
It is spot on with the book. And it does flesh some stuff out, expands on more scenes a little bit, lets more things breathe here and there. But yeah, I really dug the Netflix show as well.
Yeah, yep. They stayed very true to the characters while, I guess I'd say, humanizing them a little bit more. I do have a couple questions, like why this was adapted into a British series.
Right.
Because the book is not.
No, they even say, like, U.S. landmarks in it, like going to Texas and stuff like that.
Right, and in the show, I think Alyssa says, if this were a movie, they'd probably cast us as Americans. Which seems like such a weird meta thing, where it's like, well, it's an adaptation of a book, which is American, but I don't know.
Fun.
Yeah. But it's good. It's a good, very quick read. I read it like in a sitting while I was at the Wisconsin Dells. Family vacation. The kids went off to get ice cream and like I knocked it out very quickly.
Yeah.
Made me interested in seeing what else Charles Forsman has in his repertoire. Do you have anything else on this? Or should we dig into something else?
I don't have anything on this now, but I would like to go into what else I've read by good old Chuck Forsman.
That's what I was leading to.
Well, then I guess we're on the same page as well.
All right. Great. So, what else have you read from old
Sorry, I blacked out there for a minute.
It was a long day at work, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, man. I started reading his Revenger series, which is quite a departure from, not, I guess, so much in acts of depravity.
Yeah.
So much, but it is more of like an action set piece than End of the Fucking World.
Okay.
And I guess we just got there.
Oh, boy.
But it stars the Revenger.
Of course, the titular Revenger.
Thank you. And she is out there fighting for the downtrodden, people who have been just kind of shit on.
Yep.
The first little adventure that she's taken on is getting called to a place where there's like a child prostitution ring. And so she goes down there, cracks some skulls, and really lets them have it.
You gotta do that.
She gets revenge.
Good.
It's really good. And there's 2 series of that. Each one I think is about 5 issues long, and there may be like a special here and there.
Yeah.
But even the art is changed a little bit, where it moves away from like the almost comic strip kind of look, like For Better For Worse kind of thing.
Yeah.
For like a more traditional action story.
All right. Well, I also dug into another book by Chuck. I picked up, I've got it right here. You read yours digitally, right?
I did. I got them all on Comixology.
Great way to read them. I got Slasher because I was like, all right, I want more. What is this bizarre looking thing? And it follows Christine, who is a normal looking, kind of quiet data entry specialist who is just kind of a sicko. Let me think of how to describe this. She has a strange affinity for blood and meat.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
I'm on board still.
Yeah. Hold on. She spends her time fantasizing and chatting with a very skinny, kind of creepy boy who does knife play online.
Okay.
Meaning he cuts himself and she watches it and just goes to town.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Meanwhile, she's kind of getting fed up with just the amount of awful men in her life.
Okay.
And she takes it on herself to go around killing them, dressed in like a leather gimp suit.
Okay.
And just kind of like bringing her fantasies to life, going around slashing people up. She goes on a trip to meet this young knife boy.
Okay.
It's a bit of a twist there, but it involves her getting horribly disfigured, loses a hand, gets her face bashed to hell, and ends in kind of a police standoff, which involves disemboweling and death.
Oh, boy.
And it is something else. Something else.
I would say that is a complete strength, because even in the end of the effing world, there are moments in this that make it, like, the story really uncomfortable.
Yes.
Like, the one scene that I'll talk about from End of the Effing World is when they're hitchhiking, and they get caught in the car, and the guy's like, well, you mind if I just put my hand on your lap, James? And then it moves it slowly until it's down his pants, and it's just like, this is fucked up.
Yeah.
And it's making me uneasy, Chuck.
Yeah.
Listen, I know we're friends here, but get your head looked at, buddy. But you don't see that kind of stuff.
No, he goes places and creates scenes and scenarios around like specific acts that make you horribly uncomfortable that no other book would ever shine a spotlight on.
No, not at all.
And it's never to glorify it. It's just like, isn't this awful?
Yeah.
That's what these characters have to go through.
It's like, and it's like shit that is out there in the world, you know? That makes it even the more skeezy to me. So,
yeah. None of it is really far-fetched. It's just horrible things that, like, most properties would shy away from because they don't feel comfortable dealing with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I would recommend it to anyone that wants something different and can handle it. Like, no first-time comic readers.
No, that would put them off life. I think.
But someone that, you know, they're kind of burned out of the superhero stuff.
Yep.
It's like, well, this is something else comics can be.
Yeah, and they're breezy.
Oh, yeah, real quick reads.
Right.
Yeah. So we had the opportunity to chat a little bit with Chuck himself. He answered a couple questions that we had for him because after reading these, we had many. So we're going to play a snippet here, and we'll also probably post the longer full interview, in a couple days on our channel too. So roll the tape. What was it that sparked kind of the darker tone of your own work?
I don't know. I think it's just what I'm interested in. I don't know. Ever since I was little, I remember writing stories in English class, and a character would always die. Like, it's just like what I would go to. For better or worse, I make the comics that I'm interested in making. I've never been successful at trying to look at a market or whatever and like aim for an audience. Like, it's like there's none of that in there. Like, my audience is like myself. Like, that's the only way I could do it, because otherwise I would be totally stifled and unable to finish anything, like worrying about if the right people are going to like it or whatever. So it's just the way I've figured out how to do it, and it's the way I'm doing it. So
what a talk.
What a fella.
What a guy. Yeah. Yep. So thanks again, Chuck, for chatting with us and for these very original and unique works.
Yes.
I would say kind of you're in a class all your own with these, and I'm excited to see what else we're going to get in the future.
Yeah. If you have Googled these, delete your search history and throw your computer away.
That's right. You just made a list somewhere. But no, definitely check them out. It seems like a lot of people that check out our channel, they're into something a little bit different than the typical comic book stuff. So if you haven't read these, or if you've seen like little bits of the Netflix show and you're like, oh, that's kind of, up my alley, give it a look.
Definitely give it a look.
He's got quite a few other ones out there too that we didn't touch on, but he's still making them, still cranking them out, and nothing better than supporting indie creators.
And I just saw he did a sweet commission of Wolverine for a friend.
That was good.
And that was a good commish.
Yeah, let's get him on a Wolverine book.
That's it. Marvel, what are you doing?
Let him write it. Let him write it too.
Write, draw, everything.
Here's your Revenger.
Your
my slasher.
God. Can you imagine?
Your end of the fucking world.
And we made it.
Again.
Oh,
all right.
Great.
So, should we wrap it up?
I think we should.
Not going for another record after our Invincible episode.
No, nice tight up.
Yeah, let's keep these short.
Yeah. So that's the show. Join us next time where we'll be talking more about comics. But until then, here's Sting and a cut off his new album. Take it away.
Just a castaway, but I am lost at sea. Another lonely day where no one here but me. More loneliness than any man could bear.
able to do it again.
Nope. I'll do one more just in case, but I do like that. No, let's just end it with that.
Okay.